find ourselves at the coldest time of year. Snow has blanketed this hemisphere with its cruel, snowy snow.
I've been buying milk from the grocery store, and you can just leave it in the trunk.
It's nice. It's nice to leave it in the trunk, but there's one thing colder than the weather outside. It is the milk in the bowl, the empty bowl. And that's, yes, yeah, it's a paradox. But that's what life is. It's something for you to chew on, to think about, to indulge in the thought exercise of how is an empty bowl full of very cold milk. I don't have all the answers. My name is Justin McElroy, and I don't have all the answers.
My name is Dan Goubert, and I don't even have most of the questions. But I do have a lot of news about new cereal, if you'd like to know about them.
Yeah, Dan, I think I would. I think I would like that very much. Now, for you at home, if you're not braced for hard-hitting news, don't worry. This isn't that. Our entire show is about cereal. It's a perfect show for you to sit back, relax, close your eyes if you can. Can't always, that's fine. I talked to some people at podcast convention this weekend in Seattle that said that they like to listen to the show while driving. If that's you, please don't close your eyes. Just relax and listen to Dan and I, but mainly Dan, talk to you about that crunchy stuff we all love so much. Cereal.
Oh, I was expecting graham crackers there for a second. Had to rewrite my bit. Yeah, do you want me to just kick it off with the sort of the internet-breaking story of this past week?
Yeah, it's very hot, very now.
Yeah, so you mentioned there was no hard-hitting news, but this is definitely some heart-hitting news. So I got this rumor on my blog in sort of the comment section a little while back when I was talking about how Waffle Crisp, rest in peace by the way, had recently been discontinued. But someone in the comment section mentioned how I'm going to get sort of a revival come National Cereal Day, which if you're not familiar is March 7th of every year. It creeps up on me every year. But I didn't really know what he meant by that. And he left another comment regarding some sort of Southern Comfort cereal involving waffles. So it didn't really take too much effort to piece together what he meant by that. It seemed like sort of a very worryingly specific thing to start a hoax about. So I kind of just took it on its face that would be real, since I was, I still have half a box of Sour Patch Kids cereal on top of my fridge. So really anything's possible. So I kind of just let that stew for a while. I reached out to him, and he wasn't giving me any hints until an Instagram account called Canadian Candy Hunters posted this picture of Honey Brunches of Oats Chicken and Waffles cereal made in Canada, releasing in the U.S. for National Cereal Day.
It's so... Dan, when I first saw this story appear on Cerealistly.net, my first thought was, oh no, Dan's been fooled by a hoax. There is no possible way that this cereal is a real thing on Earth. For starters, what company changes the name of the thing?
Right.
As a pun. That's not how brands work. You don't turn them into puns for a single product. That's so strange.
I know, and it's just, of all things, to choose the Honey Bunches of Oats brand because it doesn't really resemble that cereal in any sort of common analogical way. It's got these literal chicken drumstick shaped pieces that are just this rusty brown, coupled by what looks like Waffle Crisp pieces, and that's what immediately caught my interest. Is that so? This is what Waffle Crisp died for. They really had a need to use the world's last remaining supply of Waffle Crisp ore, I guess, and make something like a bold statement like this, maybe to sort of reestablish themselves as the company without cereal boundaries at this moment.
do you find the idea of this cereal repulsive?
On the face of it, yes. But once you look deeper into it, yes. It's it's just such a cognitive
Yeah, you can't put
leap.
meat flavor. You can't put meat flavor. I mean, my prediction is, of course, that the meatness of the chicken and waffles is going to be a very thin sort of hint of savoriness, right? Like, it's not going to be a real chickeny chicken flavor, but it's still, you just can't. You can't do it. Not in a flake. Please.
Yeah, it's just, I don't really know why they decided to go so far with it. I also heard a rumor that it will be accompanied by a maple bacon donut cereal as well. I don't have visual confirmation of that yet, but if you're just considering the exponential growth and ridiculousness between sort of the Sour Patch Kids and then to here, you have to imagine that the next step is going to be like banned in several states at the very least.
It's completely unthinkable. And I would like to say that we'll be brave enough to try it for this program, but I can't promise that, Dan. I honestly can't.
I mean, I'm definitely going to try it. It's not made with real chicken ingredients, if you recall, but
It's worse.
I guess.
It's worse.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess
It ain't better.
Listen, my main hesitation is that if you pour milk into it, will the end milk be gravy?
In brighter news, cereal-wise, this week, we've got the some sightings, and the shot that I saw looked like it was in stores, but it seems like not in stores yet, is Peeps cereal.
You know, it actually is in stores now.
Oh, really? You can find it.
Yeah, it's been spotted at Target, I think almost exclusively at this point. I think it will come elsewhere, but that's probably your first bet to look if you want to find Peeps cereal. Now, this was another cereal that we had heard rumors of like months ago, because we found some snack food sort of researchers, scientists, a very elite core, found a product listing for a Kellogg's cereal Peeps. So there was really a battle of semantics back then of what was more likely, a Peeps flavored Kellogg's cereal or Kellogg's cereal flavored Peeps. Because Peeps has done all kinds of crazy varieties before. You could totally see them doing like a Cocoa Krispies or a Fruit Loops.
Of course, yeah.
But then we got this early blurry confirmation of the box, and then finally the real thing here today. It looks kind of just like selectively hued Fruit Loops with marshmallows, but it's the description that really gets me. Because on the box, they're not even sort of subtle about saying that this is a marshmallow flavored cereal with marshmallows. It's just sort of, I don't know, the redundancy of the sweetness is really, it's perfect for Peeps, because that's kind of a candy that I feel a lot of people have a complicated relationship with. It's very divisive. It can sort of strike fear into the people who really hate that sort of like glittery, chewy texture. I don't know how you feel about Peeps.
I like Peeps, personally, in moderation. I think what they're going to have to get is that, I think you're right, to make it a Peep cereal, I think you're going to have to get some of that granulated sugar texture in there. I think that is such a big part of the Peeps experience. I feel like I feel like using classic Marbits is not going to cut it, because I think the experience is going to be too close to eating extremely stale Peeps. Now, slightly stale Peeps, very good, extremely good.
How long do you recommend sort of barrel aging your Peeps for?
If I find 3 days open, 3 days open. If you go too far, give up. But I think if you leave 3 days open, they get a nice chew to them. And it's a whole sort of, it's much more adult, mature.
With a fine patina on the edge.
Exactly. Some of the marbling, it's really nice.
Yeah, so this is another cereal that I feel like kind of the opposite of chicken and waffles in that it's really not going to have much to it without some sort of beverage added to it. And last year they had released Peeps flavored milk, but nobody has spotted it yet this year, which feels like sort of a horrible missed opportunity because instead they released Peeps coffee creamer this year, which just really feels like a slap in the face to put those two things so adjacently close to each other, yet no one would recommend that you do it. Maybe next year we will get sort of a Peeps hard liqueur to amp it up even deeper.
A lot of those big January cereals that we've been waiting on have been showing up at the doorstep, and we have a bunch to talk about. So we're not going to spend too much time on any single one. But first, I would love to start with, I'm going to go ahead and call it right now. I think at this point, and so far, this isn't saying a lot because it's so early, but I'm going to go ahead and call so far Powdered Donuts cereal my favorite cereal of 2019 so far.
It's crazy that you say that because I am 100% in the same boat. So these were two Hostess brand snack cake cereals that came from Post recently as well, who has really been on a tear creating these crazy cereals. And obviously it's kind of hit or miss with what lands in terms of the common limit of sanity. But
right.
So we were kind of surprised they didn't choose Twinkies or cupcakes as their snack cake cereals, because instead they chose Honey Bun and Powdered Donut cereal. Now Honey Bun, I don't know if you've tried that one, but I also thought it was good. It tastes sort of like a honey waffle crisp, which is really resonates within my bones.
I didn't try that. The pieces look too big. I'm on record as saying I don't like big piece cereals.
It's a choking hazard.
Yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like a meal to me. It doesn't eat like a meal.
Not until it's rustling in your stomach like marbles. That's how you know.
Exactly.
But yeah, it seems that we both agree that Powdered Donuts was the superior candidate. It's really thickly coated. Like, it has the real donut problem of just sort of spraying my pants with snow, in a sense.
That doesn't sound dirty at all. Don't worry. Sounds not the least bit suggestive.
Sorry, it's just I just got a really long-haired white cat, so I've got the lint rollers on hand anyway.
Gotcha.
It's just a state of mind now. But I guess my sort of read on the flavor of these powdered donuts is that it's sort of like the frosted animal cookies that you see from like Keebler or like the Mother's brand or whatever, but then just sort of slathered on a whole actual layer of powdered sugar.
Yeah, it's uncannily close. They've also got a really good donut taste to them. Like, it's a very, I don't know how they get that. I mean, similar obviously to like Pink Donuts, which was an excellent cereal.
Very good.
From, I guess that was just last year, right, or 2017.
Yeah, last year.
Which is excellent. And Powdered Donut is good. I would say if I had one complaint about it, even though it is like absolutely excellent, is that it is not particularly deep. It doesn't have that sort of like it's very good, but it is also sort of a one trick pony in terms of cereal flavor. I think it's not one that is going to be like a permanent like I don't know. I just feel like it needs something to vary it up, right? I'm not sure what exactly that would look like. Some sort of coffee element in there would be like, I almost want like a super dark chocolate or something like that to like help balance it out. But it is uncannily close to what they are shooting for.
Yeah, it definitely feels like you sort of age as you're eating a box of this. You just get to about that mid-box crisis and think, I don't know if I can do this anymore. But the damage has already been done, and coffee is a good choice, I will say.
This is true. I threw out the last third of the box because I was plowing through the first 2/3 so quickly, and my daughter discovered that I had done this terrible crime and started crying. So I had to buy a new fresh box of Powdered Donut cereal that is now lurks in my cupboard.
Soon to join its friend, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And the temptation kicks.
What else do we have on the reviews docket, Dan?
So one of my latest reviews was Malt-O-Meal's newest cereal, Peanut Butter Cookie Bites. This is a cereal that kind of looks like a rounded waffle crisp. I guess this is sort of a challenge to see how many times I can name drop that same cereal and sort of
just
subliminally ask for it to come back.
Will it back into
Finding
existence.
a tie anywhere. But Malt-O-Meal is sort of a subsidiary now of Post, so they kind of have a whole dominant arm on the bagged cereal market, which is why it wasn't really a surprise to see that these peanut butter cookie bites look an awful lot like the Nutter Butter cereal that Post released last year. I don't know if you got the chance to try that one.
I did actually, yeah. It's okay. A little threadbare. I feel like not very substantial.
I super dig that one just because I'm kind of crazy for peanut butter cereals. It took all the restraint I had to not say nutty right there and say crazy instead.
Good job.
I'm very proud of myself. But I sort of dug it. Most people will think that peanut butter cereals are pretty one note in like what they can do, much like the powdered donuts, but I see a lot of nuance in the Nutter Butter cereal formula, which is perfectly recreated in peanut butter cookie bites. The ingredients are exactly the same, except this time they're sort of smaller circles instead of this weird infinity sign figure eight sort of curled up little, sort of like those dancing Swedish fish fortune tellers, if you ever had those. Mm-hmm. That dance in your hands.
Yes.
But the Nutter Butter cereal, the only problem I had with it was that it was really awkward to get a full spoonful of them because they didn't just sit right. And that's where sort of that same really oily and buttery sort of Nutter Butter filling flavor really comes to do a great job in peanut butter cookie bites because you can just stack the spoon tall and call it a day.
That's what it says on the front of the box, at least.
I mean, I've seen a lot of cereal packaging writing, and it's not far from the truth.
Stack the spoon tall and call it a day. I want to bring up the rear here with a less beloved, if I can say that, I think.
Yes, I'll allow it.
A less beloved take on an old favorite. It is Fruity Lucky Charms. Now, my child saw this in the store and just had to have it, and then it seems like the intended sort of effect for this one. It is the most sort of Lucky Charms that a cereal could be, I think. It is just like regular Lucky Charms that you love, but instead of the oat pieces, we got some corn pieces going there. Dan, what did you make of Fruity Lucky Charms?
I mean, it's an awful lot like Waffle Crisp if it were terrible.
There you go. That's 3.
Yeah, 3 for 3. But I just really can't understand it's really an epidemic of oat flour being swapped for corn flour, presumably to save money at the expense of sort of that wholesome, denser, and more neutral flavor. And I have never heard the end of sort of the small cult of people who really want it back in the monster cereals, and they will leave messages anywhere that I'm able to receive them and ask me to do it.
Were those fruit-flavored oats, or were they just originally?
In the monster cereals,
yeah.
It was the same style of cereal, but it was made with sort of oats. So you can imagine Lucky Charms just in other flavors.
Interesting.
But yeah, they're a very vocal bunch who want it back, and I agree with them. I just not sure the best way to go about it, but a good place to start.
I remember blueberry tasting better when I was a child.
Exactly.
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, they're trying to make you believe it was just your young brain, but all ages no oat. And it's certainly not here. Stack up the spoon and call it a day.
All ages no oat.
But yeah, instead we're left with these really if it was like sort of a chemical synthesis of Trix flavor, but really spread out like a thin paste onto this cereal, and it's got a really almost like sour drywall aftertaste to it that I just couldn't get over, no matter how many marshmallows they shoved into it.
Yeah, it's very strange. If you eat the pieces, and obviously it's not intended for this, but if you eat the crunchy pieces separate, it is not just. I mean, it is unpleasant. Like, it is an unpleasant chemical taste. It tastes like, Dan. It reminds me of, like, if they were trying to hide medicine in it. Like, that's the kind of flavor that you get from this. It's like very there's like a very faint Trix tang, but it doesn't follow through with anything beyond that. It's like very flat and chalky as all get out. I mean, dusty.
Oh, absolutely.
It is wholly unpleasant as a cereal.
Just a desert of Robitussin.
We're going to move on to our third segment now. And this is the one where we get to loosen up and have a bit more fun. Dan, we want to return to one of my favorite segments because I feel like I learn a little bit every time we do this. It's cereal myths. Tell me about this week's cereal myth.
Oh, absolutely. This is probably my favorite cereal myth because anyone who sort of reads my blog will know that I will shoehorn in references to PB&J cereals in any article that I can. Much the same way I'm shoehorning in Waffle Crisp in this episode, but that's beside the point. So I'm just a huge fan of peanut butter and jelly as a flavor combination. Usually anytime I see it done, it's been done right. So I was always very tantalized to learn about this cereal from 1982. It was from Quaker, and it was the first PB&J cereal that I guess modern crunchological record knows of. But it's called PB and J cereal. There are spaces in between the different components that'll trick you up if you're doing any Google research on it. But sort of our first touch base on trying to understand what this cereal was about would be MrBreakfast.com. It's a site that keeps a pretty good historical record of all the cereals that once existed. And their write-up is pretty brief. They just say that pretty much this cereal never made it to mass market. The cereal box characters were an explorer named PB and a dog explorer named J. Their names were printed on their hats, and it's true.
Verifiable.
It's true. They have an animation cell here. That's their single most proof of evidence that this existed. Somebody uploaded this about 10 years ago, along with some other cereal animation cells. So just going off of that alone, we don't really get much of a gist of the cereal, but if you scour the web for a few other mentions of it, you can find another sort of cereal information source. This is sort of a proto-cerealistly in it being an inspiration for future breakfast blogs to come. But it's written by a guy named Topher Ellis, who also wrote the Great American Cereal book. If you haven't read it, I would super recommend it because it's a great resource. Put
it on your toilet. You won't regret it. It's been on the back of my toilet for over a calendar year now. I think it's actually out of print. I had to get on. Yeah,
discontinued.
I had to get it on Amazon for like a pretty penny, if memory serves. But it is excellent. We should have those cats on the Martin and Topher on the show sometime.
I would love that.
Their book now costs $60 on Amazon.
You can just read it to us on a live one.
Yeah.
But yeah, he has a website, and he keeps a very closer record of different cereal characters that existed, and he has a little bit on PB and J, the characters. He says that PB is the English explorer and J is his faithful companion. The cereal didn't last very long on the grocery shelf and was probably only available in a few select test markets, including New England. And it says, one of our visitors writes, "I remember this cereal. Truly nasty stuff. This was the only sweetened cereal my mom ever bought without the usual begging and pleading by me and my brothers. Mom usually bought healthy," she says, "boring," we said, cereals. But one day she brought home this crap, probably because it was priced cheap on a clearance shelf. I vaguely remember the commercial, but the details are hazy. So that kind of sours maybe my mental image of the cereal, because you'd think it's one of those super healthy sugar-stripped cereals. But that's until you come to probably the most significant entry in PB&J history. And it's on this sort of collector's appraisal site where you can look at different old items like advertising memorabilia and get a gauge of its worth. And somebody here has listed a box of PB&J cereal. And it includes pictures, kind of grainy pictures of every side of the box. Mm-hmm. But his description does say that this is not an original, but instead assembled from a file copy flat that I got from a printer with a group of Captain Crunch boxes. I don't ever remember seeing this cereal in store, but it looks like a combination of peanut butter crunch and crunch berries. There is a fun globe inside offer, so you can get a free globe.
Nice.
And he finally says, I only know of one other copy, which really just leaves you in suspense.
Yeah,
as to where the sort of the real declaration of PB&J independence is. But you look at this box itself, and what's interesting about it is on the side, there's a thing called the sugar story, and it's pretty much a whole diatribe trying to tell you why this low sugar cereal is better for you than other things like half a PB&J sandwich, a frosted pop-up toaster tart, or flavored gelatin. The three common reference points in a toddler or small child's diet.
Sure.
But what's funny is that they stack up how much sugar is in this cereal compared to theirs, and are very proud of the fact that PB&J cereal has only 12 grams of sugar per serving.
So, wow, excellent.
So despite what that person said, I think they might have been conditioned to sort of a different era and sugariness when they formed that mental memory. I personally think that PB&J cereal could and should be revived because it just looks pretty great to me.
Well, Dan, I certainly hope that you get what you're hoping for.
Yeah, I mean, there was recently Kellogg's launched a Jif PB&J cereal, really the only other one that has reached the common mainstream knowledge, but I loved that stuff, and I imagine that's probably what 1982's PB&J cereal tasted like too. Yeah, I really wish I could just see PB&J the mascots again. I really loved how their names were on their hats.
Stack it up. Stack it up with a spoon and call it a day. Folks, that is the end of our podcast for this week. We hope you have enjoyed yourself. We certainly have enjoyed hosting you here. If you want to read more about cereal, you should head on over to serialously.net, where you can read all of Dan's writing and enjoy yourself with all of his fine work, and keep it locked there for new cereals and new sometimes Pop-Tarts. I like to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm working on a crisp apple Pop-Tart review at the moment, so expect that soon.
Fantastic. Folks, for now, though, that is going to do it for us. So until next time, we would ask you to relax, keep calm, go to bowl.rest, and you can donate to the show. We certainly appreciate you doing that. Recommend it to a friend, and as always, most importantly, stack it up on a spoon and call it a day.
Just don't forget to drink the milk afterward, of course.